Okay, so what I'm going to do is take you through today having a look at modelling a spaceship. Now this spaceship is one that I've been wanting to model for a while, and I've literally found zero reference to it out there on the internet. But this actually comes from the novel, the Warhammer 40k novel, First and Only, which is by Dan Abnett, and it's the opening chapter, first part. As you go into the synopsis, it talks about two Faustus Class interceptors receiving a message, and then their astropath pretty much croaking on themselves as they try and relay on this Vermilion class message sent on to the Sabbat World's Crusade Force, and then they're ripped apart by some giant chaos ship that comes through the void for them. But this was just like one of these ships that I've always tried to imagine what it looks like. It's got quite a bit of description, but nothing that's ever been drawn out. So it's 100 paces long. So I've done a bit of a calculation on the internet, and that's 76 meters. It's lean, a powerful warship with a jutting nose, raked tail, appearance of a serrated cathedral spire, has a splayed flying buttress housing its main thrusters being plural, armoured flanks bearing the Imperial Eagle, green markings and insignia of the Segmentum Pacificus fleet. So that's all we've got to go on. So I'm going to try and bring this together in Blender. So what I've done is I've created a sort of a mock-up based on some of the ships that are out there in the world of Warhammer 40k. So had a look at the Fury Interceptor. So the Fury Interceptor is kind of this is a ship that's very much a part of the Warhammer Gothic game. So it's obviously, there's a fair bit of reference we can probably glean from this. Some of the plasma cannons and the autocannon turrets and how the turrets might sit. And we can see the scale of it. So we can scale the scale of it against a Starhawk bomber. I did a bit of research and found that the Furies were between 40 and 70 meters. So that sort of sits in the range of where this interceptor would be as well. So it kind of makes sense. There's a few pictures from the internet of what these Fury interceptors might look like. But as you can see, these Furies only have a single engine at the back. Now we're going to have the engines mounted here on the side, some sort of raking of the tail, and some sort of serration as well. So I've sort of gone for this this sort of like almost Concorde type design, where I've sort of gone for this hexagon type shape that's going to give us the bit of the serrated sort of look to it, and that's going to be taken down the cross section here of this size. I've put a little mantis scale, so this is a 1.7 meter tall human scale, and I've laid those scales across, and if you divide 76 meters by 1.7 meters, you get 44 of them, or so much. So I've sort of just pulled this out to be the sort of the length we're expecting it to go. And I can tell you I've probably just misaligned that one. Actually, it should have gone a little bit further, somewhere like there. So that's how it supposedly is looking. It's good to use Illustrator for me as a bit of a layout package. We can create vectors if we need to bring them in, but as such, I'm just going to try and bring this in just on an image plane and then lay it out, so we're not messing too much with curves and whatever else. But we could take this. So we could take this object. Let's take all these objects, so we make sure we're getting them all the right size. And I'm just going to copy those, create a new. Let's create a new Doesn't really matter what size it is. We're just going to just drop this down, and then we're going to save this out, and we'll just save this out as a doing this in the half term, so we'll save this out as our design, and we'll bring it in as an SVG. Let's save that out. Okay, let's jump over to Blender, and in Blender what we're going to do is import in the SVG. We're just going to bring that in through the inspiration. Just click the import button, and we should end up with quite a few curves. So let's just select the objects, and the first thing that I want to do is I need to rotate that. So I'm going to hit R, X 90 degrees and just click on that, and then I'm also going to scale it 90 degrees in Z now, so R, Z 90 degrees, there we go. And now we can actually scale this up. Just hit the S key and just pull this until we get to a sort of a scale that we think is about right. So I'm just going to scale it up, hit the G key to move it across. So this is the point where we wanted it to get to. So let's just scale down a little bit. Maybe about there, and then use the G key. So I'm just trying to make sure that we've got the end more or less where we want it to be. Something like that should do us. And obviously this is now, just looking at this, we've got this set, and you can see that our little scale person, just bring this person across. I've got Vertex Snap-on at the moment, but you can see we've sort of got him the right height, but it's not quite not quite the right height. So this was the height that I used to scale up the actual ship. So if I just select all those again, I've actually disabled selection for, I'll show you how this works, but I've put my reference in a different place at the moment, so I can actually just scale this up a little bit more. I'm just going to use this as the reference, so S, I'll just scale this up, and G, let's move it up, maybe a bit more, S, G. So that should give us about the right sort of height. Okay, so this is looking a little bit larger, so maybe actually what we need to do is just not really worry too much about that. We've got the height set, so this should be alright. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of this geometry, all of this. I don't want any of the... we're going to edit mode, and let's go into... let's have a look. So let's just convert all of this, all of these curves, let's convert all of these to geometry. So we'll go object, convert to mesh. So they've all been converted to a mesh. That means I can then get rid of all the faces that are in there. So just select all the faces, go to edit mode, face, and anything that's a face I can just dissolve and I want to delete faces only. So if I go X, only faces, so it just keeps the bits in them, keeps the edges and everything else that we want. So we can do these, dissolve faces, and then X, and then faces only. And again, we can just dissolve faces, X, faces only. All I'm trying to do is just clean up this. So makes it a little bit easier for me to see. So it is interesting to see how, just use the period key to focus on this, to see how that when you bring in an object, how it gets divided up. So I'm just going to use the C key. I'm just going to select all these faces. And just go in and say dissolve faces, and then only faces, so that's giving us that one. Just a little bit of cleanup, that's all it is. And we'll go on to this one as well, so use the C key again. Just going to select all these. So you see we've got that. Use the C key just to get them two. And then I can go dissolve and only faces. So we're keeping, looks like we've got a face down here as well. I've got some bits don't seem to be wanted to place, so let's just go C, just drag over those, dissolve the faces, only faces. We might need to get rid of some of this bit and just re-blend between this just to make it a little bit simpler. So let's go in to edge mode, select all these edges and just delete those edges. A few of them. And then we can go into vertex mode and just go turn on the snapping and just say E and snap that over there. And then this wants to be merged. So this one is correct, this one not correct. We've got two there together, so let's just turn on how many we've got. So let's have a look at the scene statistics. I've only got one vertex selected. What's that telling me? Well, I'm just getting mixed up here. I should just keep going. And then let's just get rid of these as well. So let's go back to face mode, and we can then just use the C key to just select everything, go in, dissolve those faces and only the faces, so we can keep that. And then the same for the other side, so we want to just select the other bit. Let's go out of this mode. Let's just get rid of those edges in the middle. For some reason, just in the wrong setting there. So just go in there again, dissolve and delete. Okay, so we've got everything set up. Just going to save that. And that's given us our first part of the scene. So we can start to think about some of these shapes, and we can move some of these shapes around. So go into object mode. We've got let's go in here, select these faces. This edge wants to be deleted. So let's just delete the edge, and then we can connect those together. So these edges are all connected, so we want to connect that to that, so we press F and that joins that together. That's what we should have done down here, so we'll do the same down there. But we can take this now and we can go R, Z, 90 degrees. Oh, now it's still got its, so what we've got here is we need to just select everything, press Shift A, sorry, Control A and all transforms. Just reset all transforms. That should work. R, Z, and we're on local, so let's make sure this is set to medium point, I think. Oh, the pivot point is down here, so we want to actually rotate it around its local pivot point. So for this, just go set origin to center mass. sorry, set origin to center mass for this object. Why is that moved? Try that again. Set origin to geometry. That's it. So now we can just rotate that around. We can do that for this one as well. Set origin to geometry. So this one's going to be correct. This one not so correct. So let's just try that. Set origin to center. And we may need to move that that one there. So affect only origins. G, and we can just move that in to be correct. So these can be rotated. So R, Z, 90 degrees, and then we can just move that down. G, Z, just move that down, and that's giving us our sort of shape that we've got. We'll do the same on this. So we're going to go R, Z, 90 degrees, and let's move this into place. So we're just going to go GZ, just drag this down. There we go. So this is just giving us a little bit of an idea of what the shape is. So I'm going to bring this shape up to here. So I'm going to go Shift D, just bring it up all the way up to this point here. And if I turn on grid snapping, it will help me a little bit. So if I go G and Y, so this is going to make it sure I'm right at the very bit where I want to be. Turn it around, and then I can actually scale this in. So we can go S just to scale, and we want to scale it until we've sort of lined this up a little bit better. There we go. So that's giving me my sort of shape, the shape of my ship. It's going to be coming out from here. It's going to get wider at this point. It's going to come all the way down. It's going to get super wide towards the back end. So we'll do the same again. Bring this in, Shift D, and I'm just going to bring this back to about here. And then I want to do G and X. Just make sure that I've sort of pinned that in. Let's turn off grid snap. Let's turn on increment with absolute grid and just say G, and then we can move that across. Let's hold down Control for that, and then G, and just bring this back to about here, and let's scale that up until we sort of hit what we want. Now the top and bottom for this is actually here. This line here and this line here. So let's just make sure we're getting that in the right place. S, bring that down. Looks about right. GZ. That should do us. Okay, so we've got that set up. That's giving us the guts of our object. We're now going to take this. Let's make sure we get this right. And this, and I'm just going to pull these out. So I'm going to hit G and X, just bring them out to the side. And probably going to go with something like this as being where and then Shift D and just bring them out in X, and there you go. So that's going to be sort of the shape at the back. So we're now starting to get that, getting that that sort of volume shape now of what this might look like as an object. So we can start to flash out this now. So we can give this a fair bit of volume just by adding some more of the geometry in the shape of faces. So that's what I'm going to do next. So Okay, so it's time to start adding a few bits extra stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cube, and this cube will get added to my modelling. So just to take you through a few of the bits that I've got already. So I'm going to turn, so under your outliner in Blender you can turn on some restriction toggles. The one I've just turned on is the selectable one, so that just deselects the bits that I've got here, so I can no longer select those. I'm only going to be working with whatever the geometry is. I've created a few scene collections, so I've got a modelling one as my reference one, which has got my character in as character reference, and I've got my view aids in here, which is going to be my camera and my lighting. I'm just going to keep those separate for now. So I'm going to use this this cube, and I'm going to go into tab. I'm going to tab into edit mode. So let's just go out of this, select the cube, go into edit mode, and what we can do is turn on X-ray, so that anything we select in here we can select. Now I've just noticed that somehow I've managed to turn on my. Let's turn this off, so we don't want to get that in there. Let's just get this. That's all I want. So tab. That's it. So now I can drag this and move this wherever I want. So let's get this into the right sort of shape. So I'm going to start at the back of this spaceship. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half with Control R, straight down the middle. Select half of it and delete. So I'm just going to end up with, sorry, let's just delete the vertices. So I've just got this, and then I'm going to add a mirror modifier in here, and that's just going to allow me across X to anything I change here, it's going to change on the opposite side. Now one thing I want to change is the clipping. Make sure the clipping's on, so as I bring this back you'll see it won't go past that object, so that's good. We can get that in. So let's start making this look right. So let's look down let's move these first of all. So on G and Z, just drag these all the way up. Boom, into the right place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this vertex, and I'm going to say G and X, just bring this out. And GZ, just bring it down. We're looking just about right, and I will use some snapping tools just to make sure that snaps perfectly. Let's bring this one up, so we're going to say G and Z again. Okay, I'm going to bring this one across, so we'll say G and X, just bring this out to the side. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a division just in here that we can then pull out to the side. So Control R. I'm just going to slide this division down so it's in the right sort of place. For the height, it should be about there, and I'm just going to say G and Z, just to move this up, and then G and X, just to move this out. So I'm going to snap these into place now. So to do that, I'm going to turn on my snapping tool. Vertex Snapping is going to be on, but I don't want it to snap anything further than what it is. So let's get rid of this back. We don't want these just yet. We'll just delete those vertexes just so that we can snap to the absolute bits that we want. So I'm just going to take that, press G, and snap that in to here. So because it's not selectable, we can't snap to it. Oh, sorry. Should be fine. Yeah. So I didn't have the snapping turned on. G, 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 and G. Okay, now this one, as you can see, what we're going to do is we're going to say G and Y, and then we'll just select any of these, and it's going to snap it back into the right place for us to be. And if I press G and Z, I can snap it so that this stays in the vertical axis as well. So we've got a quad and a quad, everything's looking pretty good. So we're going to extrude this down the line, and we're going to extrude it all the way to the end. So this should cut through both of our sections, so this should be pretty cool. First thing we're going to do is turn on the face orientation so we can see which way the faces are going. So at the moment the faces are pointing towards me, the blue, and the red is pointing away. So what I want to do is I want to flip that round, because if I press E for those faces, so if I select the face mode, edit, face, select these faces and press E, okay, as you see everything gets inverted and it's the correct way on this side. So what I want to do is I want to flip this over, so I'm just going to press Shift N to flip them over, which is just flipping the normals, just recalculates the normals. And now I can actually go in here and say E to extrude, okay, and it's going to come out in this direction, and we can go all the way to that end piece there. So that's pretty cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to snap these edges to where I want them to be. So we'll first scale it, so we'll just do a bit of scaling first. So we'll turn off the snapping and just press S to scale. Okay, and you see it's going to scale across its most logical axis. So let's just bring this back in, G, we want it to be there. Okay, and then we want to bring this side bit in as well, so let's just select this edge and this edge and just press G and X and just bring those in. Okay, and now we're in a better position, so we can just select the vertexes, go into 1, just drag select those and just press G and Z, just bring those up. Okay, and select these two vertexes, G and X, G and Z, just bring this up. I'll select both of these because I want to bring these down the same distance at the same time, just save me a little bit of pain. There we go. And now if we want to focus on this, as you can see the camera's sort of focused in the middle here, but we want to focus on this end, just press the period key on your number pad. So that's just helping me there. So now I can just grab this, turn on my snapping again and just go G and snap, G and snap, G and snap, G and snap, and G and snap. And then this one, we just want to snap this one forward, so we're only wanting to snap it in the y-axis. So G, Y, and then as you can see, we can, missed one here, so let's just have a look. Which one have we missed? Ah, we missed this one. G, snap. That's not snapped correctly. So do a couple of those. Ah, there we go. Must have snapped it to the wrong bit. So G, snap. That's it. G, snap. So this one just needs to snap forward. So G, Y, and then snap. And let's do G, Z, and make sure it's just perfectly snapped in. So that's given us our body shape, and as you can see, it's fully using the profile shape that we've got. So that's looking pretty good. So we can start thinking about the next bits that we want to work on, which is going to be this, this sort of nose point. That's going to be the next bit that I want to work on. I'm just going to have a quick figure out how that works, and I'm also going to work on this. Oh, actually, we could actually work on that first. Let's just turn off the face orientation so we can see that that's going to be sort of the body shape that we've got. There's a few bits that I want to add on top of here, which are going to look pretty cool. Just some veins that help to give this a sort of a raked look at the back. These are going to come out a little bit more, and just going to help it with sort of its, I suppose, part of its angular nature of how it would fly. So let's build these. So what I wanted to do in my design view was these bits here. Let's go into object mode. These bits here, these are going to be sort of beveled in. So I'm going to create a cube that's going to sit there. So let's create a cube. Mesh cube. There we go. Let's bring that cube to the right place. I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to say G, and I'm going to move this up into the center point about here. I'm going to say I want to scale in the Y. I'm just going to pull that out. Something about that long. And I'm going to scale in the X. And then I'm going to select G, Z, bring this up somewhere in the middle, and SZ, scale that up, something like that. Okay, so it's not quite perfect, so let's just get that sorted. This section wants to come back, so G, Y, just snap that back to there. Select this top section, G, Z, snap that one in, this one, G, Z, snap that one in, and then to the back, G, Y, and in. That's pretty cool. And we can probably just snap those bits there, so we can say GX. And let's get this one in, GX. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna bevel down to about that distance. So it's going to create this beveling effect. So if I go into edge mode and just select these edges, and Control B, and then pull away. Sorry, B, and then pull away. Control B. I can pull that down until I sort of get to that edge where I thought I needed the bevel to go to, and then click to select. Okay, so let's get this mirrored across. So let's select this object, which is this one. So this is end up in the design one. So let's just drag it into the modeling one. So we can select it again, and then we can do the same modifier. So we've got a modifier on this cube. So all I need to do is go in here to the modifiers, into this modifier stack, and what I can do is I can just drag now, because we're in I'm using 9.2 alpha. I can just drag that modifier and drop it onto that cube, and it will automatically pick up that modifier. So a little bit of a time saver. Now you can see this is what we're starting to get. So we've got this sort of shape of the ship. There's a reason I wanted the sort of the belly of it to be down, and that was to do with how this ship's going to have in the story. It's got all of its communications systems in the belly of it. So I thought I just got this vision of having it sort of bellied down, and I might actually pull this section down to create a bit of a scoop down here. So there's still a few things floating around in my head, see if we can get those to work. And then this would be sort of like where the crew would be at the top here. And if we look at how our crew would look, just turn this on, so we've got our reference, grab him, not the reference, sorry, the design. Just bring this up, so G, just bring it up here. You can see that there's plenty of sort of space for a person to sit in a cockpit up near the top here, and you could have some space underneath this as well. So there's plenty of stuff to go on. Obviously this is going to be the sort of voidish shield type thing. And then we'll put some turrets underneath, sort of coming out here. So just drop some turrets down, front chain link turrets. Probably going to have these on a sort of gimbal, very much like the old Flying Fortress type stuff. And there will be one that sits at the back here. This is where the turret goes for the back. So we'll probably have one there and one underneath as well. That's going to be quite highly armoured. Okay, so this part here, so this was something where I wanted to try and connect these two together. So what I'm going to do is look at, let's turn wireframe on so it makes it simpler. Sorry, simpler for me to see, and let's just hide the design stuff that we've got here. So we can see that this is sort of how it's going to be here, but what we wanted to do, what I wanted to do, was to try and make these connect. So looking at this, I'm probably going to have to drop these down. So if I go in here and say into edit mode, select everything, and say G and Z, and just bring these down. Let's get this so I can see this a little bit better. I'm probably going to be able to connect the top of this to the side of this a little bit better. So that's looking probably GZ, just bring it down a little bit more. Yeah, something like that should probably work. So I've got this sort of like look, and then I want to try and Oh, actually, I want to connect it here, so let's have a look at the side. So let's do it again. GZ. I'm just going to bring this up. Yeah, just about there. That should just about give me enough. Might need to move these back a bit. So if I go G and Y and pull these back, something there. That looks all right. So those are looking like. So these are supposed to be connected via sort of like a flying buttress type effect. So what I thought was I could connect these directly across and then directly up as well. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So what I want to do is take the face here, this face on the top, go into edit mode and select that face, and I'm going to press I to inset that face. I'm just going to bring that down. Obviously that'll be doing it on the other side as well. And then I'm going to, what will be the best way of doing this? So I need to sort of create a way of connecting these together. Okay, yeah, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete these. So those faces have gone. And then I'm going to connect. So I'm going to take this edge and I'm going to take this and say, oops, just move this down until it's in that sort of shape, and I'm going to move this one until it's in that sort of shape. So it's just going to create a bit of a sort of strange sort of edge to this, but I just want to try and get this flat, as flat as I can. Like this. And then I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to move these out. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to connect them just directly in. So I'm going to turn on Auto Merge, which is this little key up here. I'm just going to grab these vertexes. I'm going to delete these two. So X, dissolve. Don't want to delete them, I want to dissolve them. And then I'm going to take these and just snap these in. Okay, so that's giving us that sort of shape, which is sort of a bit strange, but not too bad. We may lift that up a little bit more. And then I'm just going to pull this straight across. So this is going to just come across here and connect into a block on this side. So let's select this object, Control, let's go into edit mode, Control R, and let's just add a couple of divisions in there. That one should be about right. So this gives me two divisions, and then I'm going to take this loop and I'm going to go Control B to bevel that loop. There we go. It's got a snap on, so we just got to be careful. Just get it to a sort of the right sort of size. That should be the right size. And then I'm just going to connect these two together. So I'm just going to go into edit mode for this object. Now, go into edit mode. Apparently I'm supposed to be able to go into edit mode. That's it, yeah. So in 9.2, you can jump the edit modes, which is pretty cool, which we've not been able to do before, so that's pretty good. So I'm just going to bring this out, extrude this out. So I'm going to go E, just bring this forward. I don't want to bring all of it out. I'm going to connect a bit of it in here. So I'm going to just delete this face, delete the face like that. And what I want to do is delete this face as well. Okay, I want to delete the face. I want to go all the way down to faces and just delete that. I'm going to take that point and I want to move that point back there like that. Cool. Okay, and I'm going to take then I'm going to take this. So if I jump into this one, so let's go to 3 and jump into this one. I'm going to delete this face. Boom. Okay. And I'm going to join these two together. So let's take, let's apply this modifier, Control A. Let's go into normal mode, so Control. Let's see how this works. Let's delete this modifier. Nope, not that one. This one. Delete this modifier. That's the one. So we can just connect this up. There we go. So I've just made one object and it automatically inherits. But this just means that I can actually grab that and bring that across. So what I want to do is take that vertex and I'm going to move that vertex over here. Take this vertex, move this one over here. And then we're going to take this edge and this edge and we're going to make a face for them. That's right, so yeah. Let's make this right. So this vertex, that's correct. So move this vertex to here and this one to here. That's right. And then this vertex there, this one to there. Okay, and then we can drag these and create a face with F, and we can take these, and these have already got a face. Let's just make sure, turn off that one. Perfect. Okay, so that's given us the sort of shape that we wanted, or started to give us the shape that we wanted. We can have a bit of a play around. I'll do some beveling on that as well. Might take that one out and reconnect it somewhere in here. So if I just put in a Control R, that's got full vertex in there. So if I take this edge out on here, dissolve those edges. Now if I press Control R, I can only put it in so far. So I'm just going to drag that up there and I'm going to reconnect that up near the top. I'll do that at the bottom. Don't want to get too close. Let's just undo that, turn this off, it'll be easier. Control R, just drag up. Boom. Okay, so then I can actually join these two together. So we can just go in there and press J, and that should join those, and those two together, J, and that joins those. And that just means that we can take these two vertexes and we can go SZ, we can scale these down, and we just sort of created a bit more sort of a geometry type thing going on there. This looks pretty cool. So that's got those in, so those buttresses are in, and I'm probably going to create a bit of a connection in here as well. We'll put some connections on. We may even, looking at this, it makes sense to take that edge, this edge here, and actually turn on snapping, so G, X, and snap it to there. So we actually end up with sort of like the back end of the ship looking sort of flattened out, I suppose. And we could probably do that with, we don't need to do it with the other bits. I think the other bits looks alright for now. Okay, so that's got that part done. I'm going to name this the ship hull. Okay, and the modifier will stay on that while we're still doing some modifications on that. Might need to do a few little extra bits here, so we might need to go in and Control R, might need to drag in, say there, and then look at that edge, bring that out, look at that vertex, bring that out, bring that out, and then we can start to just create that little bit of extra shape that we need. It just sort of starts to make sense of what the shape we're trying to make in this, how this shape might work. Just interested to see how that would look, or whether we need to be more in line with these. Something for us to look at as we start to get into this shaping. Okay, so that's going to make a little bit more sense when we're connecting this up at the back, so that there's more support structures as we go down. We'll create some little bit of greebling on that, and obviously the back of this is going to have an inset in there, and then an extrusion back. Make sure this is turned off, and then another inset maybe, and we'll be able to put some rocket type boosters in there. And I'm half playing with the idea of putting something in the front into this, or maybe this is going to be where the turret's going to go. So we might need to sort of work on quite a big turret system at the back of that, which will look pretty cool. Okay, so on to the other bit of reference for the design bit. What we want to do is sort of work out how this is going to come together. So I was looking at this as being a sort of potentially just a sort of sweeping shape forward. I'll have a think about how it'll work. So let's have a think. So if we take, let's bring this object out. So this is the curve. I'm going to shift D to select this curve, and I'm going to bring that curve as a guide. I'm going to bring that out of the actual collection. Let's move this up. I'm going to drop that into modelling, and then I can turn that off again. So I'll leave this in, but at least I can select the guide now. So this is actually selected, because obviously I duplicated it, so it is actually selected. So if I go like this, you can see we can actually move this, so that's okay. Now, what I was thinking was that this would end up with, let's see if we can do an extrusion. So edit mode, select everything, E. Is that still a curve? Oh. So let's do that again. Edit mode, going to 1. There we go. So there's way too many points on the top of there, that's for sure. So we can get rid of some of those points. So let's go like this. In fact, we need to get rid of all of this, to be honest. Let's get rid of those vertexes. And let's get rid of this edge in the middle. Oh, I didn't probably select that edge actually. Just make sure I didn't. No. Okay, so select all these vertexes. Don't want to select those, or the top corner one. Just deselect that with Control. And if I go select, check or deselect, then we can get rid of every other vertex, which is pretty cool. So let's just minimize that down. We can do the same on this one as well. So we can just drag down here, boom, and just go select, check or deselect, and then delete those vertexes. Let's get rid of those. That should help us out a little bit. Okay, so let's see if we can actually take this. Let's bring that modifier up onto the guide. Okay, and let's take that off. Let's go like this. What's happened there? Get rid of that. Let's not drag that on there. Let's turn that off. Why has that all disappeared? All the edges seem to have gone. Ah, I deleted vertexes. I should have dissolved vertexes. Okay. Hopefully this is still... Yeah, so... my bad. So what I should have done is... yeah, what I should have done is... I should have actually dissolved the vertexes, so that was my fault. So let's just do that again, just to prove it does work. Sometimes you make mistakes. Check a deselect, and then dissolve the vertex. You keep the edges in, and that's what we wanted to do. Keep those edges. Dissolve, not delete, because we're going to take... I still think we don't need that one as well. Possibly not that one, just for now. So we take that, we can drag that onto there, which means we should get, let's do it afterwards then. So this should go into this, we should be able to go E and somehow we've got that selected as well, so just that one. So we want to go E and just Y, just bring that forward. So that's coming in quite nice, and this is still an SVGA curve. So down here we need to just apply the right material. Just make sure that's on material, and we're not going to get confused. So this is the shape that I wanted, and then I want to bring that shape. Looking at this, I want to bring that shape to sort of that sort of conclusion. So we want to extrude this top part out. So let's think how this is going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this vertex, and I'm just going to extrude that vertex out. So I'm going to get rid of all these other vertexes for now. Just going to leave this one. And we're just going to eyeball this vertex up, and I'm just going to press Control and right mouse click, and it will just keep adding a vertex as I go down. Okay, so that's giving me that shape. Now I need to sweep this from here back up to this shape here. Okay, so what's going to be the best way of doing that? So we want to sweep in. So let's take all of these and let's extrude them. Out this way. We're extruding in X only. We're going to extrude them out about there. Okay, now let's take this object. Let's see if we can actually take that modifier and drop it on. And this modifier is on the wrong axis, that's all. Cool. Okay, so now we can sweep this back. So what we need to do is this is going to sort of sweep back like this. So we're just going to build a sort of shape together. It's a little bit like car design at this point. So let's try and just select these and press F to connect them. What does that look like? That's not too bad. Seen worse. Okay, so that's starting to get us the right sort of shape. We've got to be careful at this point, so we need to make sure we get a cut in here. Somewhere down here. And then this, from the top view, if we scale in Y, just say Y0. That should get us over the top correctly, and then we can actually go in and say G, and then start to bring this around. So we're now starting to get this sort of shape, and we're going to use the shape as we go around it. And then we can go in and we can say we want to select this vertex, and we're just going to bring that vertex, control and click out, and then we can select 1, 2, 3, 4, press F, and that looks pretty cool. Okay, so just going to turn on the face orientation just to make sure we've got the right faces going in the right direction, which we look like we have. There we go, and we can just put that back and we can start working through. Now, one of the things I'm going to have to keep an eye on, just like when we're doing car modelling, is making sure that these sort of keep sort of the angle line that we'll need to make this work. So that's not looking too bad, to be honest. We can probably build that out, which I'm going to probably do just in a separate little video, just to make sure that that works, and we'll just focus on this one piece. So I'm just going to call it there.